Isn't it ironic? That will make sense in a minute, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. It is Friday to the studentloanjustice.org live stream. My name is Alan Collins. I am adorned with all of our swag today. You can see our awesome shirts. Lisa Ansel in Los Angeles was nice enough to start some merch for us. So we got shirts, we got hats. We only do this kind of thing like once every several years. So according to Lisa, the hats are being shipped. We still need, I think, 6 or 7 more people to order shirts. So you can go to, and I'm sorry for this shameless advertisement, but you can go to either of these places and get a cool hat or get a cool shirt. And they're expensive, so you've been warned. But it certainly does help. So, okay. So if you're new to the group, welcome. We are studentloanjustice.org. We are the oldest, largest, first, in many ways, only true grassroots group fighting only and absolutely for student loan justice. This is the most important time in the history of our organization, guys. We've been around for 17 years now. We have a great bill to fight for, S-2598. It returns bankruptcy to student loans, whether you like bankruptcy or hate bankruptcy. By the way, everybody hates bankruptcy. We've got to have that threat back. We've got to have the power of bankruptcy back on our side. As the founders called for it, ahead of the power to declare war and raise an army. Only with the threat of bankruptcy back will we get any sort of meaningful student loan cancellation, guys. That's just kind of the way that works. Hear me now, believe me later, or hopefully just believe me now, and I'll explain it later if you really want me to, but it's true. Just take my word for it. The second thing we're fighting for, obviously, is student loan cancellation. The lending system is finished. It's toast. It is absolutely beyond saving. It should not be saved. And I can prove that to you, by the way. Less than half of everybody was paying before the pandemic. Almost nobody's paying now. We've had 2.5 more years to think about it. Nobody's going to resume paying their loans. Even before the pandemic, 85%. That's more than 4 out of 5 of all borrowers. We're never going to be able to repay their loans. Over half weren't paying, and another 25% were paying, but their loan balance was going up, not down. 85%. So wealthy people don't get behind on their student loans, last I checked. So just as an aside, so the notion that canceling student loans will benefit the wealthy is asinine and ridiculous. But tonight, I want to tell you, I just want to tell you guys, the loans will not be paid. The loans will be canceled. So, and there are so many cruel, vicious ironies associated with student loans. Maybe if you have any thoughts, if you want to leave a comment, you can think of a very ironic thing about your own student loan situation that you'd like to share with the group. But probably one of the more cruel ironies that I want to point out, and this is important and timely. So the General Accounting Office put out a report recently saying, the federal student loan program is costing the taxpayers money. And it has been costing the taxpayers money since 1994. We're talking about the direct loan program. And even though another agency said that, and it makes sense to say that the direct program where the government is the lender, government makes the interest. The government was profiting $50 billion in 2012. Just 1 year, they profited $50 billion. And that kind of makes sense because around that time, about $60 billion in profit, in interest was accruing. And so, it kind of makes sense that 50 billion of that 60 billion would be profit. But here comes the General Accounting Office and they go, no. Government actually has been losing money on these loans. And they point to the fact that all these loans are going to be canceled through like the income-based repayment program, income contingent repayment, pay as you earn, the revised pay as you earn, the revised income-based repayment. There's like 5 different IDRs out there. They go, we're going to be canceling all these loans. So actually the taxpayer is losing a ton of money. We're not profiting 50 billion. We're losing like 25 billion a year or something. And also, so they're like, we're going to be canceling all these loans. So we're actually losing money. And also, defaults are hugely costly. So that's going to cost us a pretty penny also. So government's losing. That's all completely asinine and ridiculous, ladies and gentlemen. And here's why. Those loan cancellation programs, nobody is getting their loans canceled almost. Of the millions of people who have tried since 1995, the number of people who have actually gotten their loans canceled, excluding recent cancellations through public service, 32 people. 32 people out of millions. That's a 99.99, probably 9% disqualification rate. Similarly, the income-based repayment program, by my best estimates, a tiny, tiny percentage, like less than 1% of the people in IBR, income-based repayment, will actually make it through. In 2015 alone, 57% of the people in IBR were disqualified. And public service, yeah, a few people are now getting their loans canceled just because the teachers union got shitty about it. And supposedly they've canceled loans for like 100,000 people. But, of the millions of people out there who work for nonprofits, I would bet, and the jury's out, but I would bet that the actual disqualification rate for public service is going to be like 90%. 90%. And that may be being generous. So, ladies and gentlemen, nobody's making it through these repayment programs. And the people who don't make it through, that is the overwhelming majority, almost everyone, like 99%, 98% of everyone who doesn't make it through these repayment programs, they get kicked to the curb and they get left owing far, far more than had they never even tried in the first place, because interest accrues over the terms of those loans. So these people are actually the federal government, and let me get back to that for a minute. But the other point, defaults, many years of White House budget data show that the federal government actually gets back more than it pays out on defaulted loans. That sounds crazy, right? Like, what other loan can say, oh yeah, we actually make a profit on defaults? No other loan, not one other loan in this nation can the lender say that they make a profit on defaulted loans. A credit card company is thrilled to get back even 10 cents on the dollar for a defaulted account. The federal government gets back over $1 on the dollar for defaulted federal student loans. So the cruelest irony of all of this is that these income-driven repayment programs, not only are they not costing the taxpayers anything, at least on paper, the taxpayers are booking a huge profit on these income-driven loan cancellation programs. That's pretty damned ironic, if you ask me. But as I said, the ironies abound. And if you happen to have any particularly ironic thoughts on your own loan situation or the loan situation in general, I could talk for probably 4 hours on all of the various cruel, vicious ironies associated with this failed student loan program. But I'm going to leave it there at that for now. So a little bit of news for you. Virginia Fox, terrible person, the worst person in the world on student loans, and a guy named Jim Banks, who also is from her state. These are two House representatives, along with who I thought was maybe possibly a good guy in Congress, Elise Stefanik of New York. Those three people have introduced a bill that literally is probably one of the most vicious, poisonous, threatening bills that I have ever seen introduced in the House of Representatives. And I'm not even going to tell you anything more about the bill. It's a joke. The bill is not going to pass. But just the fact that this pit viper of a woman, Virginia Fox, would go out of her way to introduce this bill, it's like, I don't know how much more blatant it can be. But if you have student loans and you live in North Carolina, not only should you not vote for Virginia Fox, you should tell all of your friends and family and anyone who might do anything for you to not vote for this woman. Vote against her. I don't care if you vote for a Democrat or a Libertarian or who. I don't have anything really super good to say about her Democratic opponent at this point, although he seems like a pretty good guy. Do not vote for Virginia Fox. This woman is poison. She is in the tank with the federal student loan companies and the private student loan companies and the for-profit colleges. She is the queen of the student loan swamp, I would say. And this guy, Jim Banks, he's probably her lackey in Congress. I don't know. Elise Stefanik really kind of disappointed me. I kind of thought she might be kind of a new breed of Republican or something, but apparently that's not the case. So shame on all of those people. And by the way, folks, don't be distracted. Please don't be distracted. I know I talk a lot, and I talk a lot about different things. I talk a lot about a lot of different things. But at the end of the day, ladies and gentlemen, the bad guys, they want you tripping out on all the stuff that I just said, like noodling around. They want you distracted, but more than anything, they want you doing nothing. They want you paying. And by the way, part of that bill was turn on the lending program, require payments again. That's like top of the list. The bad guys want you paying. They want you distracted, and they want you walking around this earth with your tail in between your legs. They want you ashamed. They want you quiet. They want you reading disgusting swamp publications like Forbes, or more recently, like Yahoo Finance. Rick J. Newman, total fucking swamp troglodyte. Pardon my French. They want you distracted. But ladies and gentlemen, I am here to tell you, we know the path to actually getting loans canceled, and it starts with getting our bankruptcy rights back. There's two ways we're going to do that. One is through a bill in the Senate, S-2598. The other is by administratively. So the Secretary of Education and his people working for him, Richard Cordray and James Cavall, the undersecretary and the chief operations officer, switch reverse respectively, they have publicly committed to stopping opposing student loan borrowers in bankruptcy court. That is a very strong workaround while we're waiting for Congress to pass S-2598. When we get the threat of bankruptcy back, the federal government, up to and including the president, they'll pretty much have very little choice but to very widely, broadly, deeply, meaningfully cancel loans. Joe Biden is going to do something this month. He has to. At a minimum, President Biden is going to have to extend the repayment pause. It's political suicide if he doesn't. Can you imagine they turn the loans back on September 1st, and we all go to vote first week in October, right as the pain of those payments sets in? No, not going to happen. I am 99% sure that Joe Biden will indeed extend the repayment pause, but he's got to do a lot more than that. The Democrats are looking down the barrel of the gun, and that barrel is us, and we are furious. We voted for Democrats. We gave Democrats the Senate last election. We gave Democrats the presidency last election on the strength of the promises that Biden made to us. So states like Georgia, Pennsylvania, maybe Wisconsin, but certainly Georgia, Pennsylvania, those went the Democrats' way because of us. There are 42 million distressed student loan borrowers in the country. 38 of those 42 million distressed borrowers have federal student loans. So that's like 38 million people that were strongly inclined, and probably tens of millions did, vote for the Democrats because of the promises that issued from President Biden's lips. And he has, up to this point, blatantly betrayed us. So, notwithstanding the Republicans like Virginia Fox, so stupid, doing everything they can possibly do to shove a hot poker in our eye and push us away from the Republican Party, which makes absolutely no sense. Notwithstanding the Republicans going out of their way to snatch defeat from the jaws of victory in November, if the Democrats don't do something very real, very significant, very meaningful, trustworthy, and believable before early voting begins in October, the Democrats are screwed. Don't shoot the messenger. If you're a Democrat, I'm sorry to tell you that. By the way, whatever your political stripes are, you are very welcome in this group. We're a fiercely nonpartisan group, ladies and gentlemen. We pretty much hate both parties. But whatever your stripes are, you're very welcome in this group. We're very glad you're here. We need liberals in this group. We need conservatives. And I think there's probably roughly a 50-50 split between between Republicans and independents as a group and Democrats. I think. I don't know. The nation as a whole tends to be that split, or I should say people who went to college as a whole tend to be about roughly slightly more Republicans and independents than there are Democrats. So this is a nonpartisan problem, and we have to fight as hard as we can, particularly the conservatives on our group. You've got to stand up and you've got to fight way harder, because right now this issue has been turned into a partisan food fight where the Democrats claim to be fighting for us. The Republicans obviously are fighting against us. But ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you that whole thing is nonsense. That whole thing is a concocted trap to keep us pinned in the partisan divide. The partisan divide does not help us, ladies and gentlemen. It hurts us. So whatever your political stripes are, you're very welcome here. We've got a common goal. And quite frankly, I think our political diversity should be our greatest strength. So hey guys, all right, I'm looking for your comments now. Sorry to be lagging. And as I said, I'm going to keep it fairly short here tonight. It's Friday. If you forget everything I say tonight, remember this. The best use of your time, if you actually want to solve this problem, is by going to our website, studentloanjustice.org, and doing our daily actions. Don't be distracted by any of the bullshit I've set up to now. And it's not bullshit. I mean, it's important if you're interested. But if you need something to do, the most effective use of your time, go to our website, Student Loan Justice, and do our daily actions. So, looking for your comments now. Hope everybody's doing well out there in the world. By the way, it is beautiful day here in northern Wisconsin. I hear it's quite hot on the eastern seaboard. I see we have quite a few comments here, so I'm going to try and quickly get through them. Doing well out there. So Leslie Fishman says, "Effing done with this." Hey, Leslie. All of us are being left in the dark. Our loans are being transferred all over and no communication from any provider. How the hell is this allowed? Pardon Leslie's French. I'm so spent with this BS. It's a travesty. It just proves how there will be complete default. Yeah, guys, we're in the Wild West right now. We're in the wild, wild West. Nobody knows what's happening. The federal student loan program is evaporating into a mist of illegitimacy as we speak. Nobody knows what to do. In Washington, D.C., nobody knows what to do. I bet you the people at the Department of Education, James Kval, Richard Cordray, Secretary Cardona, they cannot make up their minds as to what to do because, frankly, they don't know. We are looking down the barrel of it's kind of like diffusing a bomb. They're looking at the blue wire, the red wire. They're probably actually looking at about 5 different wires, and they're like, but the clock is ticking because early voting starts in October. So guys, we are the unfortunate witnesses to the death throes of the worst, most unconstitutional, vicious, nationally damaging loan scam in the history of our country. That's kind of what's going on. And so I try and have a little bit of a sense of humor about it because, guys, lending systems fail from time to time. Come on. World War II, many lending systems fell. In fact, many economic systems and nations failed in World War II. So in that context, these podunk little cheesy rat trap student loans, they're nothing. It's not that important. The dollar value may sound big, 1.6 trillion or whatever, but guys, it's all nonsense. Lending systems fail from time to time. That has always been true since mankind has been using an abacus back in Greece or something. So don't trip. It's not your fault, by the way. We didn't wreck this lending system. This lending system tried to wreck us. It's probably best at this point to have a little bit of a sense of humor about it. Don't stress too much. We're in uncharted territory. It's true. There are bad guys out there. It's true. But the lending system it's just done. It's toast. And so I guess what I'm saying is you should be a joyful warrior as you fight with us. We'll get through this. The lending system is not coming back. They can try and turn it on, and you know what's going to happen? Nothing. Nobody's going to pay. My best guess is that if and when they have the cojones to try and turn this lending system back on, not even 20% of the people will actually resume paying. And I think it will drop precipitously thereafter because people will realize, they'll say, oh, yeah, no, now I remember why these loans were so absolutely horrible. I'm not doing it. Nobody's doing it. I'm not doing it. That's the reality. And everybody out there who may be watching who's on the other side, in other words, our opposition, in other words, the unelected bureaucrats, bankers, and hangers on, the swamp creatures there in Washington, D.C., or Manhattan, or North Carolina, or Indiana, or wherever you happen to be, rethink your life. The lending system is toast. It's not coming back. Your life's work defines you in many important ways. Give it up. Walk away. You push this lending scam way further than it should have ever been pushed. You got way more free money out of this scam than you could have ever dreamed of. Walk away. You'll feel better about yourself. The loans will be canceled, ladies and gentlemen. I am supremely confident of that. The only question is whether we get a quick, clean ending to this lending catastrophe, or whether we get a very unpleasant years, maybe even decades-long unwinding, which will be disgusting. It will be terrible. There will be a lot of pain. There will be a lot of anguish, social, civil unrest. We don't want that bad outcome, guys. We've got a window right now between now and the first week in October to actually get these loans handled. And it starts with getting S-2598 passed. And as a realistic marching order, if you will, it starts with everyone on this group doing our very quick and simple daily actions. The most efficient, most effective thing that you can do. Don't forget that. Leslie Fishman also says they want us to be a dummied down society, keep the 1% elite and 99% indentured. Yeah, there's a lot of different subtext like that going on, Leslie. I don't disagree at all. We're seeing a lot of conservative thinkers like that kid Charlie Kirk. He's like, oh, don't go to college. People like Peter Thiel, don't go to college. Don't go to college. Become a plumber, become an electrician. Hey, I got bad news for all those assholes. People who went to trade schools are being hurt just as bad as everybody else by this student loan debt. You may be trying to kick people out of college and dumb down the country, and you may want a nation full of uneducated, desperate, financially desperate people who are more subservient to the elites. Ain't happening, guys. But that's a good point. Vanessa Meyer says the cancel student debt movement will probably be all over the news and trending on social media as soon as the pause gets extended. Good point. The last time they extended the pause, we wound up live on Fox News with Dana Perino. And I can't say anything, but we have some very big things in the offing for the month of September. That's all I can say. So there will probably be a lot more media attention. I'm very glad to say that almost all opposition to returning bankruptcy to student loans has dried up and blown away. When you're talking about student loan cancellation, which is admittedly maybe a little more radical end of the spectrum as far as the current politics go, the current national conversation, bankruptcy doesn't look so bad. And, I don't think I've heard anybody in the past 6 months. I think I've heard maybe only one or two people with a name publicly publicly opposed the return of bankruptcy to student loans. So guys, we've come a long ways. And I want everybody out there who's been part of this group for more than a couple of years, you should be very proud of that fact. It was because of this group, guys. It's because of this group. We're the only group of any size in the country fighting for the return of bankruptcy. We would not have a bankruptcy bill to fight for, but for this group. And quite frankly, we would not be talking about student loan cancellation by executive order, but for this group. I kid you not. It was the petition that we started in March 2020 that launched this whole concept of the president canceling student loans into the zeitgeist. And so you should also be very sort of proud of yourselves for that. And to everybody out there who's doing our daily actions, let me just say for the millionth time, I salute you. I respect you. And to everybody who has not, it is cathartic to fight this battle. I don't think we will win unless you get up and help us fight. It feels very good to fight this fight. And I don't want to get too off because I know that there's a lot of people out there who aren't. Just say, these are your loans and this is your problem and we need you helping with us. And the least you could do is a month worth of our daily actions. The very least you can do. We have very smart, intelligent people on this group, I happen to know. And no one is better than anyone else. You are not better than us. You have no privilege here. You have no right to sit back and eat popcorn and cheerlead while other people do your work for you. You got to pull your own weight on this group. And I'm trying to say that in a very friendly and nice way. I'm not always that way. Student loans are indentured servitude, says Jason Spots. Very true. You can make that argument, and increasingly people are, especially with these never-ending income-driven repayment programs. Never-ending. You know, the Constitution abolished slavery in Article 13, Amendment 13. But, you know, that very same amendment, you should read it. It also outlaws involuntary servitude. So, Leslie Fishman is so stressed. Oh, close to a freaking mortgage, and I'm middle-aged, over 50. Quick point to that. Most people with student loans are over 35, not younger than 35. This is more an older person's problem than a younger person's problem. Very interesting. Unreported headline, by the way. Matt Taibbi, who hopefully you know, he told me last week that he was going to break that headline, but I did not see him do that. I didn't look super hard, so maybe he did, but I don't think he did. So that, as of right now, I'm going to say is an unbroken bit of research that we broke. We've broken much research, by the way. And if you go to our studentloanjustice.medium.com platform, you can read a ton of the jaw-dropping research that we've done just over the past couple of years. If you read the past 5, 6, 7, 8 articles, and we're going to have another article dropping hopefully tomorrow if I can get it done by tonight, by the way. Long-awaited article. But check us out, studentloanjustice.medium.com. And these stories will enlighten you. They will educate you. They will make you a very fine, fit, furious, and fearsome student loan justice warrior armed with nothing more than the truth. Terry Dodd says, at this point, I'm just laughing my ass off, especially at the Republican proposal. I'm not even as worried about these loans as I was before. Right. Exactly right, Terry. Like, people who are tripping on their loans and pulling out their hair and losing sleep at night, guys, that's not good. If you have nervous energy and stress about these loans, you should focus it into helping us and doing the daily actions. And at the end of the day, you can say, you know, I did everything I could, and relax. This is not our problem. It never was really our problem. It's a scam that got foisted on us, and it's not our fault. As I said, we didn't break this lending system. This lending system tried to break us. And all of the finger waggers out there, and I know there are many, they are a mile wide, they are an inch deep, and they are very easily swept away by nothing more than the truth. You can get the truth here on this group. That's the only thing that we broker in is the truth. And sometimes we sell t-shirts and hats, but very rarely. All we broker in, our stock and trade, is the truth. And you can trust all of the research that we have ever broken. All of the stuff that we've broken is sourced. usually directly to the Department of Education, which, although it's not great data, it's the best data out there. It's the gold standard. And never have we ever lost any of our arguments. Never have any of our research claims that we've made been successfully disputed, because we're very risk averse, ladies and gentlemen. We don't go around making wild claims about the federal government and billion-dollar corporations lightly. We measure 3 times and cut once. We are very careful about the research that we publish. So you can rest assured that all of those headlines are absolutely true. So yeah, don't stress too much, guys. That's not good for you. It's not good for the movement. The bad guys want you stressing out about these loans. They want to be living rent-free in your head. They want you pulling your hair. They want you staying up at night. Oh, how am I going to pay these loans? How am I going to pay these loans? Don't give them the pleasure. Join us and fight. You'll feel much better about yourself. I sleep like a baby at night. What can I tell you? I hope that the other people on this group will back me up on this. It feels good to fight this battle. We win every argument we're in. The bad guys try and wag their finger, but we can shut them down in 5 seconds with nothing more than the facts. So don't let the bad guys get to you. That's all they're trying to do. These are swamp creatures in many cases, or they're just completely undereducated, uninformed idiots that watch the mainstream media and rely on the propaganda that gets fed into their brain. They inculcate that and they start repeating it and parroting it like robots. What I like to say to them, and usually they hate the colleges, usually they're conservatives. What I like to say to them is, hey man, do the colleges pay you to fight for them, to fight for their lending scam? Or have you pimped yourself out to them for free without even knowing it? That usually makes them think. So come on, guys, we got this. It's Friday. I've never been more optimistic than I am right now. But we have a 7-week window now. 7 weeks, guys. And what you do will make all the difference in this battle. And so come on, guys, hang together, and we will win this battle. If even 10% of the people on our group, we've got 1.4 million people on our group, our petition, our other platforms, if even 10% of our people actually did our daily actions, I swear to you, this problem would be solved by October 1st, I think. And that maybe even with some room to prepare. Can you imagine if our tweets got 100+ thousand retweets every day? Can you imagine if every phone call that we made to every senator was repeated 100,000 times a day? It would shut down the congressional phone switchboard of all of Congress every day. We have a huge muscle to flex, ladies and gentlemen. We can get these loans gone for the good of the country, for the very good of the country. At long last, it's within our grasp. It's the right thing to do. Lending systems fail from time to time. This one failed many years ago, quite frankly. It's the right thing to do. And remember, if they can do to other loans what they did to student loans, that is unconstitutionally weaponize them, they can conquer and enslave the whole entire country. And this is kind of the tip of that battle. So I'm sorry, I don't mean to put stress on you. I am just saying there's a lot riding on this. It's camel's nose under the tent. And if even 10% of the people on our group got up, did our daily actions at a minimum, we would have this problem solved and the nation would thank you. And the bad guys, they would forget about all this and move on to the next rage topic for them tomorrow. They'd forget all about it, trust me. And there would be tens of millions of people in the country who up to this point have been quiet. They've been waiting and watching and worrying in silent desperation. They will thank you. And those are by and large good people out there. So spread the word about this group, guys. We got it. We need you. Be a part of that 10%. Would you please? I pray. I beg of you to do that. And let's make these next 7 weeks count, shall we? So good luck. Have a great weekend. I'll see you guys on Sunday. Godspeed. And God bless everyone.